put me in the wall at Fuel Fest was my throttle cable sticking completely wide open. Essentially, the car has to be together for one last event. Kansei was out of the chrome Neos, so what we had to do was go with all we have to do really is pop the axle back inside the diff. Yo, I'm not gonna lie, the fitment looks way better now. So after a relatively decent crash that we had, it is almost back together, but we do have a few more things that we need to touch on. Let's talk about it. This is the wheel from that passenger front you just saw. We can say it's out of commission, but thanks to Kansei, we had a solution. Now, essentially, Kansei was out of the chrome Neos that I usually run on the car, so what we had to do was go with some Astros that I am actually going to get powder coated in the prismatic chrome. So we'll see how that turns out. Now, I don't know if you noticed, but the Kansei 7 just came out, and fantastic wheel for one. But there is something special that is going to be happening with the Astros that a lot of you guys have asked for in the past. The thing is, I can't tell you about those yet, so you'll have to stick around and wait for that to come out, and you'll see. But let me back up a little bit on the car, because what we already got done is the rear arms. So those are all 100% good to go with ISR arms from actually Grip Royal. But shout out to Injuku, because they helped me get the guys back their arms because they needed those. But other than that, all we have to do really is pop the axle back inside the diff. That should be all good. This is the last event, so I'm not even gonna worry about that seal. It shouldn't leak. Whatever, we'll find out. And one other thing is we did get the new knuckle back in, so that is good to go. That did not cause the issue, and it actually saved a lot of my front end the way that it broke. So it did its job absolutely perfect. So another shout out to FDF for that. But I'm curious what you guys think. Do you think I should just leave these silver and not try and match it to the chrome? Or should I do it chrome? I'm not sure. Do you like the car better with the Astros or the Neos? Let me know in the comments. But the first thing we need to do is tackle this other front and get this Astro on this side with the new 225 08C Velino. We'll see how these tires do up front too. I've never tried these up front, and I'm going with a smaller size as well, so I can try and get them under the factory fenders, because you boys know we need to make that happen. But let's get these on, and we got a couple other things we need to tackle. So let's do this and get to it. I'm not gonna lie, the fitment looks way better now. It's still not where like 100% I want it up front, but that's the price you pay with having a big boy angle kit. I'm gonna let you guys be the judge. You tell me, how's the fitment look? Obviously it's turned a little bit to the right, but I mean, it's not that bad. I like it, but I do think I need a solid pair of overs. You guys let me know. Now there's something that I want to point out about this as well. Although I did have a pretty massive crash, like that is a bad thing, but I want everyone to understand that like that's what we sign up for this for. Now, was there things that I could have done to prevent that? Absolutely. I always believe that everything in your life is your fault. So always, always, always try and find a positive out of everything that happens. Doesn't even have to be positive. but neutralize the situation somehow. And in this case, I have a spare front wheel now that I can always have at the track. In case something like this ever does happen, I can just toss this one back on the front and we're good to go. So yeah, I mean, it is a pretty shitty circumstance, but there's always something good to look for in the end. Now, I still have one more problem to solve with the axle. So let's get the rear end of the car jacked up, see what all we even have to do to get this thing back in, because it seems like an easy fix, but we'll see. So essentially, the car has to be together for one last event. So we've got to get the car ready for the Chase Bay's Customer Appreciation event, which is at Polecat Training Facility. But it's so close. Chase asked me to come out and drive, so we got to get the RB350Z out there, or shall I say RB250Z, because it's 2.5, RB25. So hopefully all of this wraps up all of the issues that we have from the wreck, which I think it will, other than the chassis being fucked. Let me show you guys exactly what I mean by the axle popping out of the diff. Again, huge shout out to ISR and the Grip Roll guys and Njuku for getting me these arms. I now have a way better setup back here in the rear, but this is what I mean by the axle popping out of the diff. I mean, it was very subtle. I assume just from the impact of the hitting the wheel on the wall, it popped that right out, because these just get hammered in essentially. So let's go ahead and get that hammered back in, and from the looks of it, we should be good back here. Sorry, my mic went out right here, but essentially we tapped it a few times with a hammer, axle went back in, all good. But let's look at some other details that already got fixed so far. Now, if you haven't seen the podcast where I put a cut in and clarified exactly what happened on all this, what put me in the wall at Fuel Fest was my throttle cable sticking completely wide open and fuel pressure being so high when impact happened that it just bursted a freaking line. But I did fix all of that, so let me go ahead and show you that real quick so you even know what's going on. So the first thing I did was get a brand new low car throttle cable fixed completely up on the car. So it should work absolutely perfect. The last one was very short and went directly over the engine, over the top of the intake to this bracket, which had one going up, which I think caused too much issues. Whenever the motor would flex a little bit, that it would yank on the throttle cable and inherently get it stuck down here. That's my running theory. I'm not 100% sure on that. The low car throttle cable that I got was one of the 48-inch ones, so it's extremely long, wraps all the way around the backside, so there shouldn't be any issues whatsoever with the throttle cable binding or sticking or anything like that. As you can tell how many holes I have, it took me quite a few different throttle cable setups for one, and then different hole situations to figure out on the Z, because the actual firewall is so uneven of a surface, and you don't want your throttle cable to like pull down. You want it to pull straight back, if that makes sense, which is very hard to accomplish, or harder than you would think. But as for the fuel line that bursted, it is actually this one right here that comes from the fuel filter. This is the feed line, actually, so that line goes directly back all the way to the tank and comes up, hits the filter right there, and then comes straight to the rail, and then of course to the regulator, and so on and so forth. My theory on the fuel line busting, because it's not like it was touching anything, it didn't like get a hole punctured. It was essentially right down here in the middle, which I can show you the actual AN line, which is right here. It looks completely fine. Essentially, the rubber hose on the inside is what actually busted. And then, of course, it's just steel braided casing, so all the fuel that was leaking out of that hole on the rubber hose on the inside was just seeping through the steel braided hose. But luckily I had some extra hose. I just needed to order another 90 fitting and got that completely fixed up, so we're good to go there. So although I wish it was a rather cooler way of destroying my drift car, it was actually just bad car builder, let's just put it that way. Now obviously I do have a busted taillight, but for the last event I'm really just not gonna care about it. it's gonna be totally fine. It's still mounted up. I do need to add a little bit more supporting to the rear bumper so that it stays up, because it's such a big bumper. It just acts as a parachute whenever this car squats, and it squats quite a bit. But enough hearing from me. I haven't seen this car out in the sun in quite a bit because it's been in here on jack stands. So let's pull it outside and just take some good footage of it. Car is essentially ready to go for the Chase-based customer appreciation event. So that's all I really got for this one. Let me know if you guys like this and you want me to keep doing it. But I guess I will see you guys out at Polecat, baby. Let's go.
Up to the ceiling. Trust no bitch, can't catch no feelings. I've been taking long flights from the Bay to Ibiza. Hit home runs, I'm a ball like Jeter. I just want fuck, then I leave her. I'm a young pop star, call the boy Justin Bieber. Got a little money if you want, I can teach you. Whole life a movie, you can watch it in theater. Stacking way up to the ceiling. Trust no bitch, can't catch no feelings. I've been taking long flights from the Bay to Ibiza. Hit home runs, I'm a ball like Jeter. I just want fuck, then I leave her. I'm a young pop star, call the boy Justin Bieber. Got a little money if you want, I can teach you. Whole life a movie, you can watch it in theater. We in the bag of the band, shit like a sauna, she working a sweat. Told her come over, bring her and her friend.
Okay, bye.